4 teams to go in my road to predict all 131 teams this college football offseason. We are so close, and we're moving on to the North Texas. The Mean Green Fighting Machines are going to be back. This was a very solid team a year ago in Conference USA, and they're going to be looking to maybe be this conference's sleeper pick to try to push for a spot in the conference championship game. They do lose a pretty key piece offensively, but overall, this is the North Texas team that has a lot of talent on it. Does bring some solid pieces, loses some pieces to the portal as well, but a team that was really solid last year, going to be looking to try to take that next step in 2022. Will we see North Texas compete for a spot in the conference championship game this upcoming season, or will the Mean Green maybe not have as good of a year as some people may be thinking? What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate, and welcome to my channel. I am predicting all 131 teams this college football offseason, which means I'm doing your favorite team. So hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you know when that video gets uploaded. Only got a handful of teams left, so chances are I've already done your favorite team. In that case, hey, hit the subscribe button. I got playlists on my channel. You can go search through and find your favorite team. But hey, you should hit the subscribe button and ring the bell because I post videos during the college football season. You're not going to want to miss out on that. But to all the fans of the Mean Green out there, you guys are going to know this team a lot better than I do. So if you feel like I missed something and you want to add something, please feel free, leave it in the comment section down below. I'd be more than happy to hear what you guys have to say. Let's talk about Mean Green football in 2022, my 4th ranked team in Conference USA coming into the 2022 college football season. Now, last year, North Texas, again, was a pretty solid team. They were 6-7 overall, but 5-3 in conference. Good stuff there from North Texas. They were close to trying to push for a spot in the conference championship game. The only problem was there were some really good teams in the conference last year. Now, when we take a look at stats from last year, this offense, one of the better ones in Conference USA, bearing in mind there were 3 extra teams in this conference last year. They were the 4th leading team in yards per game without the programs that are leaving for the Sun Belt. They were the 3rd. So 440 yards per game with around 28 points per game. Defensively, this team was still pretty solid. Allowed 378 yards per game with around 27.5 points per game. So definitely some work to do offensively, defensively. There are things that need improving for this North Texas team. But when I look up and down this roster, I like what I see. Now, we got to talk about what they're losing first because there is a huge piece offensively that they are losing. It's a 1,000-yard rusher, the leading rusher from last year, DeAndre Torrey. He was a playmaker for this Mean Green team a season ago at 1,215 yards, averaged around 5 yards per carry, had 13 touchdowns on the year as well. Now, that's a huge loss in the running back staple. When you look elsewhere at the wide receiver position, Deontay Simpson is gone, was kind of a little bit of a depth piece last year, only had 73 yards on 5 catches. And then tight end Jason Pirtle is gone too. He had 380 yards and 2 touchdowns. He was actually the 2nd leading receiver on this team. So another pretty substantial loss on the offensive end, but none bigger than DeAndre Torrey. On the defensive side of things, a lot has gone off the defensive line, including the Murphy brothers, Gabriel and Grayson, combined for 16 sacks last year. Grayson at 8.5. Gabriel had 7.5. They were your 2 sack leaders on this team a season ago, and I believe they both transferred out over to UCLA. Dion Noble is also gone. He had 5 sacks last year. Hey, that was 3rd on the team last year. So your top 3 sack leaders from a season ago are gone. You're going to have to be replacing them, as well as Caleb Colvin, a 19 total tackler from last year who had a sack, is gone. Cameron Hill is going to be gone off of the linebacking group from a season ago. Linebacker, defensive end, combo type player, had 4 tackles. Had 16 tackles, but 4 sacks last season. Also, Tyreek Davis going to be gone off of the linebacking group. And when you take a look elsewhere, Upton Stout, again, a depth piece of the defensive back position. He had 6 tackles last year. He's gone. But the bigger loss in the defensive back position is Mikhail Sanders, who had 44 tackles, 4 passes defended, and an interception last year. When you take a look at what this team has, well, they are returning their starting quarterback in Austin Aune. Aune, I believe is how you say that last name, only had 1,991 yards, 9 touchdowns, 9 picks last year. There definitely is room for him to improve his play. But Grant Gunnell is coming over to this team. J.D. Head is coming over to this team. So maybe a little bit of a quarterback battle going to be taking shape here with the North Texas program. I would still believe that Aune would get that starting job, But again, if he puts up some similar stats to last season, again, that just weren't very good, I would expect that you see maybe Goodell or Head end up getting their shot with this offense. When you take a look at the running back room, well, they are returning a player that missed the entirety of last season in Oscar Attaway. He may end up being that leading rusher this upcoming season, but there are two other guys that were in this program from a season ago. That is Isaiah Johnson coming back at the running back position. Io Adie comes back, and then I will pronounce this wrong, but Ikaika Ragsdale. Ragsdale, Adeye, and Johnson were the second, third, and fourth leading rushers from a season ago. And heck, Austin Aune was the fifth leading rusher from a season ago. They all combined for maybe around 1,600 yards and looking like 18 touchdowns last year, did those four guys, including Aune and Adeye, who you don't see on screen. In the wide receiver room, well, Roderick Burns is returning for this team. He was the leading receiver last year by a long shot at 802 yards and 4 touchdowns a season ago. Damon Ward comes back, and then Jair Shorter also coming back on this team. On the defensive side, well, Tom Trebe is a transfer coming over to this team. Should help out with some of the losses there on the defensive line. But you also do have Roderick Brown coming back on this team. He had 3 sacks last year, 19 tackles. He's going to be pretty solid option on the defensive line for this team. And the linebacking group, well, Katie Davis returns. Yeah, had 120 tackles last year, 4.5 sacks. You also return some guys like Larry Nixon and Kevin Wood coming back in this linebacking group. And all of them were top 5 tacklers from a season ago. In the defensive back position, Quinn Whitlock comes back, as well as Deshaun Gaddy. There are some other names that I could mention here for North Texas that just weren't on the list. Getting a couple transfers in the defensive back position there as well. So definitely still some names here for North Texas. And a lot of people, my opinion included, this may prove to be one of the sleepers in Conference USA this upcoming season. As we take a look at the Mean Green schedule. Taking a look across the board, there are some pretty interesting games here, and conference play, definitely going to be some tricky ones. In fact, they open up with a tricky conference game. That's on the road against UTEP. Again, North Texas, one of the few teams to play in week 0. And they have to go on the road to play a Miners team that was also pretty solid last year and may look to make that next breakthrough here in 2022. The Miners being underrated, in my opinion, this upcoming season. They do lose a lot at wide receiver, but a lot is still there, including that running back duo. Gavin Hardison is back. Lots of solid pieces on that defense. That was one of the better ones in the conference last year. So UTEP, that's going to be a solid opponent for North Texas in week 1. But getting into the non-conference schedule here a little bit, they play Texas Southern. Probably should be a win there. On the road at UNLV, I'm figuring that should be a win there, although the Rebels are competitive, and they're going to be competitive this upcoming season. And then games against 2 American Athletic teams. You got to play at home against SMU, and then you got to go on the road to play Memphis, neither of which I think are going to be easy games for this Mean Green team. When you look across the board elsewhere in conference play, yes, they have that road game against UTEP, but also some road games against UTSA, Western Kentucky, and UAB, and some games at home against FAU, Louisiana Tech, FIU, and Rice. So diving in a little bit deeper to this schedule here. Again, I've talked about that UTEP game already. I think UTEP is being underrated. I think that defense is still going to be good this upcoming season. I think that offense, proving that they can have some guys step up in the wide receiver room. I think that offense is going to do fine this year as well. UTEP is definitely a team this season that I would watch out for in conference play, and wouldn't shock me at all to see UTEP end up winning this first game of the season against North Texas. Texas Southern, UNLV, I think are going to be fairly simple games. Again, watch out for the Rebels, though. They do have to replace Charles Williams at running back. But hey, UNLV, I think is going to be a little bit of a surprise this upcoming season. Now, when you take a look elsewhere across conference play, SMU, Memphis, those are 2 teams right there that are going to be some of the better teams in the American Athletic this upcoming season. SMU, of course, having now a new head coach. Memphis starting to really build something there, starting to build momentum with their new head coach from a couple seasons ago. Those are going to be 2 teams that North Texas may have some trouble getting across. Now, if you're going to look for a win, I do think SMU is the better team, but you get SMU at home. So I think both those games going to provide their fair share of challenges. In conference play, well, you got to go on the road to play UTSA, on the road against UAB. look, those are two just tough teams to play in general, even when you get them in your own building, but now you have to go on the road to play them. Very well could be the two teams we see in the conference championship game. That is just brutal. You got the road game against Western Kentucky there as well, that even though they are losing a lot from last year, offensively, defensively, especially offensively, but we all know that. I think they're still going to be a solid football team here in 2022. And when we take a look elsewhere, Florida Atlantic, they can push for a spot in the conference title game. But otherwise, La Tech, they should improve their win total from last year. FIU and Rice, however, probably going to be teams that may not fare so well in 2022. Now, I don't do game-by-game predictions. I do a more percentage-based outlook. Tell me predict the team's records of the games in red. I just don't see you winning the game. If the game is in orange, I still don't see you winning, but it is college football, and upsets can happen. Yellow are your 50-50 or high upset potential games. Games in yellow-green are games that you should win, but you got to watch out for teams on the other side of the ball, and games in green, I have you winning. So Texas Southern, you get them at home, should be able to pull off that win right there. No games in red, so let's move on to the games in orange. Memphis and SMU. Two teams in the American Athletic that, again, I do think North Texas has the potential to beat. Do I think it's going to happen? Not necessarily. I think those are going to be two teams in the top half of the American Athletic Conference this year. SMU can look to surprise people this upcoming season. Memphis is starting to build towards having some pretty good seasons in their near future there as well. And some solid pieces returning and coming in for both programs. I think North Texas, while, again, this is my sleeper pick in Conference USA, a team that I'm really going to have my eye on this upcoming season, a team that I think can push for a spot in the conference title game. I think they're going to have a tough time winning either one of those two games. And when you take a look in conference play, it's all in yellow, green, or yellow. By the way, a game in yellow, green, UNLV. Watch out for the Rebels. I think they can pull out some close competitive games, but if North Texas grabs a hold of that one, I think it should be a done deal. FIU, Rice, Louisiana Tech, I have is pretty simple enough wins for North Texas. They get all three of them at home. I think the Mean Green should be able to go 3-0 in those games. And saying they beat Texas Southern and UNLV, you got to find one more win. And it's not too far-fetched to find one more win considering what they have on their schedule. UTEP, hey, well, that's a very winnable game. Only problem, you play them on the road. Western Kentucky, well, hey, that is maybe an even more winnable game right there. It's on the road. UTSA, UAB, maybe they can pull off some upset there. It's on the road. Probably the game you're going to want to look in conference play to best get that sixth win is FAU right there. Now, when I look in conference play, or in non-conference play, I should say there as well, I do think there is the chance that North Texas can beat either SMU or Memphis. It is on the table. It is not out of the realm of possibility. I think North Texas is a good enough team to do it. And then when you look across conference slate, maybe some unfavorable matchups with who you play at home and who you play on the road. You probably have the three easiest conference games on your schedule all at home, which leads to a brutal road schedule. Again, UTEP, UTSA, UAB, going to be some tough road games. Even Western Kentucky is going to provide their challenges on the road. But this is the North Texas team that I feel like is going to be really good this year. I feel like is going to push for a spot in the conference title. Do they get there? Well, you're going to have to find out. You're going to have to find out later in my standings prediction video. But this is a North Texas team that I do like coming into this year, even without DeAndre Torrey. I think if they get good quarterback play and this defense can somewhat, maybe even improve a little bit from last year. I think this is going to be a good team. I got them at 7-5 this upcoming year. I can see as high as 9-3 with some of the talent that's on this team. That's how much I like the Mean Green. But I've got them sitting here at 7-5. Maybe end up falling just short of that conference championship game, but a solid enough postseason team nonetheless. That's going to do it for my prediction for the North Texas Mean Green. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And please like, comment, subscribe. It helps support the channel. Remember to play hard, but tailgate harder. I'll see all you guys in the next video. Goodbye.